here with Couch Chat. And once again, I am so excited to introduce my friend, Mary Ruth Dilling of Kindling Dreams. And you know what? We were wondering if you are sitting home one evening and all of a sudden your electricity goes out. No electricity. If it's winter, your heat's not working. If it's summer, your air conditioner's not working. Oh no, what about all the food in your refrigerator? And what if you find out it's going to be a few days or a week or more? I mean, this happened to my neighbors. My neighbors were out of electricity for a month when we had a storm blow down a series of electric poles. It can happen, and it could happen in the worst possible times. What will you do? So that is our question. What will you do? So, Mary Ruth, what do you have to tell us?
Well, now, that is a great question, especially these days. Here we are. I have an online friend who just recently lost her electricity for a number of days because of the huge storm up in the north. Right now, we've got 2 hurricanes coming up through the Gulf. People are, what do? They've been thinking, yeah, I know I should prepare. I know, but the buts are going to kill you. Seriously. So what if you have been planning to get ready to prepare, but you didn't? And now all of a sudden, no electricity. What do you do?
What do you do?
First of all, sit down, take a deep breath, take another deep breath. Do not panic. Panic is the worst thing you can do. Okay. Number 2, what I would do is to take stock of what you have. Okay? You've got food in the freezer. Try not to open the freezer.
Okay.
Unless you absolutely have to. Okay? Do you have canned goods? Do you have a manual can opener? Seriously. Most people these days do not have a manual can opener, and they cost $1 at the dollar store.
So simple and so important, but yet people don't think about that.
Yes. Anyways, so a manual can opener, keep a few canned goods. I am not one for, pushing canned goods, but for that first day of emergency crisis, opening up some cans to make sure you have food is a good idea. Okay? Do you have a camp stove with fuel? Nope. All right. What about a box and a piece of glass? You can line it with foil and make an oven, a solar oven. Pizza boxes are very popular to make solar ovens for. Ooh. You can line them with aluminum foil on the inside and put your food on the outside and sort of angle it so that the rays are concentrated into cooking. You can make a rocket stove, which is using cinder block bricks, and you stack them. You can watch YouTube videos to learn various ways to arrange them, and then you can heat them. Build the fires, little fires with sticks, small thick sticks, and that cooks up pretty well.
I've seen people in Nicaragua, they cook that way just on a daily basis.
A campfire, you can make, a safety ring and build a fire in a fire pit. If you have a metal drum, then you can build a fire inside the metal drum. And some people even make wood-burning stoves out of metal drums. So there are a variety of ways you can create alternative methods of cooking when you do not have electric to cook with suddenly. Again, don't forget the can opener. So what if you don't have any of that and you have a freezer full of food that is going to go bad?
What if somebody's in an apartment?
Yes, if you're in an apartment, yes. So what I would do is I would start contacting family and friends. If you have internet, sometimes the internet even goes off. And that is one of the negative aspects of our cell phones. Landlines, you don't have that problem. But contact family and friends, see if they have a cook stove that you can borrow, or if they still have electricity, you can take things over there. If that doesn't work, if you don't have anyone, you live in an apartment or even a small residential neighborhood, start knocking on doors and saying, hey, you want to have a block party? Somebody is bound to have a grill, a charcoal grill, or a camp stove, or something to be able to cook with. It would be better to get to know your neighbors before the crisis.
Make friends with your neighbors.
But hey, a shared meal, you come together in a block parties used to be very popular. People had got together and they'd have a charcoal or a grill, cook some burgers and stuff. You can do that and everyone share, and that way no one goes without.
Fantastic.
So those are ideas for food. If it is winter time and you do not have any alternative heat source, what I would do is put up a tent inside your living room and people sleep in that. Hopefully you have extra blankets and you can camp inside. The reason I say put up a tent inside your living room is that the tent will help contain your heat, your body heat, and keep you warmer. Now, if you don't have a tent, you can block off. I would have everyone go and sleep in the smallest room because, again, you're going to contain body heat. It's nice if you have, like a kerosene heater or something. There are special heaters you can run inside. You have to be very, very careful, like for propane heaters. And I have operated propane heaters inside with like windows open to crack or something like that, so that fresh air is rotating. It is very, very, very important you do not run a fuel heat source like that without the room being vented, because you can kill yourself.
Very good point.
I mean, yes. So very, very, very cautious. A fireplace, used to, if in the winter, if it got real cold and fireplaces were the only thing to heat, everyone came and slept in around the fireplace.
Made sense.
That was how it was. You had some blankets. You make a pallet, sleep around, and somebody would wake up every 2 or 3 hours and feed the fire. Make sure you have blankets. Oh, when you go to bed, put warm clothes on, like a pair of sweats or something, but put fresh, clean socks on.
Oh,
do not keep the clothes on you have worn during the day, because sweat, even if it's not hot, you still perspire. especially your feet, because your feet will become very cold if you wear socks that you wore during the day. So what I used to do is I would have one pair of socks I wore only at night. And then during the day, I'd swap out with clean socks, but I had a pair just for night, and they would dry during the day, and I would wear them at night, and that would help keep me warm. Other things, like if you have a way to heat bricks, done this, it's great. You can take the small bricks and heat them up, and then wrap them like in a tea towel.
Okay.
And put one at your feet. If you have enough, you can put one at your lower back, like if you're sleeping on your side. And by the time the bricks cool off, your body temperature would have warmed up your bedding. Make sure you have, your bottom sheet, your top sheet, and your blanket, because the top sheet is very, very important for keeping body heat in during the winter time. As far as summer, this is why I like living north, because in the winter you can pile on the clothes to warm up, but in the summer you can only remove so much.
Only so much.
But there are things you can do. Number one, at night, lower the window, open the windows. Okay, because it cools off. Number two, you can take a squirt bottle and squirt your sheets before you go to bed, and that cools the sheet, and it helps cool you down.
That's a great idea.
And yes. We used to do that all the time when we were kids, because I grew up without an air conditioner in Texas.
Whoa, I can't even imagine.
So we had attic fans and swamp coolers. But there are things you can actually watch videos on, like making air conditioners, little small room air conditioners where you like have ice and stuff. You watch them on YouTube. You can do like a DIY cooler, off-grid cooler, or something like that. But if you have no electricity, those things won't work either. Now, for food preservation during no electricity, the ground, digging a hole in the ground, lining it like with straw, or if you have like big ceramic, those big pots, the ceramic pots, planters.
Oh, yes.
And then a smaller one, what you can do is like put the smaller one in there, and then between the small and the large, you fill it with sand, and then put your items you need to keep cool inside the smaller one, and wet the sand, and then cover it, and it cools by evaporation.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You're not going to cover it cool, tight. Digging a hole in the ground, like a root cellar, will keep a lot of things cool. A spring, if you had a creek, you could put things, that's what people used to do all the time to keep things cold. Another thing to remember is that a lot of things we put in our refrigerators today do not need to be refrigerated.
That is true. I've been learning that.
Ketchup doesn't need, pickles doesn't need to be refrigerated.
Tabasco
there's
sauce.
a lot of things. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can get by with not refrigerating. The main thing would be like your meat or milk. Even your eggs do not need to be refrigerated. Let's see. Fresh eggs do not. Store eggs do, because they've been washed and the protective film's been removed. So in the ground, once you get past a couple of feet, you have a pretty steady temperature. And so it wouldn't be hard to keep your things cool enough. For meat, if you had a lot of meat that was going to go bad, if you can it, that is one way to preserve it.
Okay.
or you can smoke it,
Okay.
or you can make jerky. And there, of course, there are YouTube videos on how to do all of that stuff.
So that's something that we would need to learn how to do and gain those skills
Oh,
before it happens.
yes, yes, this is preparation. But the topic of this video is, what if, you've been meaning to, but. So these
Oops.
are some ideas. It's not if, it's when. An emergency
Exactly.
will happen, and I can guarantee you they're going to be coming more and more frequently.
Yes.
So it is only smart to prepare.
Exactly. Just like my neighbors we had a big windstorm and luckily we were on a different group than everyone else. So we still had water, we still had electricity because we're all on wells. And so middle of the winter, no electricity and no water, but luckily we still had it, so we were able to make sure they were supplied. But it was a tough situation.
Yes, and yeah. Now, again, like for lights, you've got candles. You can, well, I mean, unless you prepare ahead of time, you might have a flashlight or two at the house already. But outside of that, you're pretty much going to be stuck with getting up when the sun is up and going to bed when it goes down. But candles, kerosene lanterns, flashlights are fine at first, but they're going to run out fast.
They have a short
Yeah.
lifespan.
Yes, and if the outage is spread wide enough, then there's not going to be water. You know, um, it can get bad really, really fast. I tell you what, if you live in a city and electric goes out for any length of time, it's going to get messy and nasty really, really fast. And that's why you want to prepare now.
Because you never know. And then that comfortable feeling knowing that no matter what, when that storm rolls in, you're okay.
Yes, and I have to share something with you, Linnell, because about a week and a half ago, I was coming back home from a visit to my sons, and I was about an hour from home, and I was driving into a storm. It was mainly wind, and you could see the lightning in the back. Beautiful, beautiful lightning storm. Anyways, my sister calls me, and she said, "You can't come home. Electric's out. I don't know what we're going to do." She had already contacted me that the AC had gone out. But I told her, I said, "I have to go to work tomorrow, and I'm only an hour out." So I came on home, and she was a little stressed. She was sitting in her garage, in her car. She could not open the garage without electricity.
Oh, no.
Okay. So we were sitting, and I said, "You don't need to worry if this isn't resolved by morning," because it was already like 10 o'clock that night.
Okay.
I said, "I have a solar panel. I have a solar oven. I have I have lights. I have candles. I have a way even to I have a camp shower." I said, "Don't worry, we'll be okay." And it was about an hour later that the electric came back on. It had been off for several hours. So she was really panicking, and she was upset because she couldn't even get her car out of the garage to go get something to eat. And she couldn't fix anything to eat because everything's electric. And I was like, don't get upset. We'll be okay. We're prepared.
She just needed to talk to you.
So it really pays for peace of mind to know that, if you do all you can, and it's not like I have a whole lot of money to spend, but I am wise with what I have, and I am systematic in getting things. A little bit every month I do something, and I continue to do that. So it's a way of life.
Good for you. And that's a way of life that we all need to kind of think about, because you know what? It's still August, but August is going to be over very soon, and we know that means September, October, November, and for those of us in the north, winter's going to hit, and it could hit hard. We have no idea, and things are going to happen. And then people down who are dealing with the hurricanes right now, we know they don't have power. I think many of them have left. But, yep, it's time that we get a manual can opener. Think about a sun oven. I know I've been looking into sun ovens. I want to make one. And just thinking about what if, those what if questions I like to talk about. What if we have no electricity? At my house, we have to worry about the well because that's our water. So what will we do?
With wells, Linnell, if your well is not too deep, like I can't remember the depth right off the bat, but I think 200 feet, maybe 250. That might be a little shaky. But if it's under, more shallow than that, you can get a hand pump.
I've been thinking about that. I was going to ask because my dad built our wells, or he had it built. So I need to ask him because I'm wondering if we could get a hand pump. At least carrying in water would mean we'd still have water.
Yes, and if your pump is deeper, if your well is deeper than that, you see those old-fashioned westerns where they roll up a bucket?
The bucket?
Yes. You can get, because most wells these days have a narrow opening, but you can get a cylinder, not a bucket, but a metal cylinder, and lower it to fill and then raise it. And you can get, they can be long and narrow cylinder.
That's a great
that you
idea.
can lower by rope into the well if you were able to uncap it so you could, put one down there. That would be only if your well is too deep for a hand pump. But it's something to look into as part of your preparedness.
That would be knowing what we have and what our resources are and how we can tap into those resources. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary Ruth. You gave us some really good words of wisdom because electricity is near and dear to our hearts and we all depend on it. It's kind of become the way of our world in the last 200 years, I guess. 120 years, not 200.
Yeah.
Around that, depending where people lived. But anyway, I really appreciate what you had to offer us today. And those of you who have any questions or want to know a little bit more info, please, Mary Ruth invites you to check her out on kindlingdreams.com, and she's also on Facebook at Kindling Dreams, and you're always welcome to message her there. All right. It was good hanging out with you on our couches again, Mary Ruth.
Yes, I always enjoy it.
I as well. All right. Enjoy your evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.